She was screaming in my wife's face, waving a stack of papers like she owned the place. "This property isn't yours anymore," she shouted. The HOA sold it, fair and square. My wife stood frozen on the porch, our kids clutching her arms, watching strangers unload boxes into our house. 2 days earlier, I'd been halfway across the world, finishing my deployment. Now I was standing in my driveway staring at a brand new sign nailed to my own gate. HOA property, no trespassing. The land I bought with my military pay. The land I fenced with my own hands, and there she was, the so-called HOA president, smiling like she'd won. But she didn't know the truth. The land she just stole was under federal protection, and I wasn't just another homeowner. I still remember the sound of my wife's voice that day, shaky, broken, and full of disbelief. When I got the call, I was halfway through unpacking my duffel from deployment. She could barely get the words out. "They're taking our house." At first, I thought I misheard. Maybe she meant someone was fixing the fence or delivering something. But then she said it again, crying this time. "They said it's not ours anymore." By the time I made it home 2 days later, I felt like I'd stepped into someone else's nightmare. There was a new sign on the gate, big, bold letters that read, "HOA property, no trespassing." It was nailed right into the wood I'd cut and stained myself, the same fence I'd built with my own 2 hands after coming back from my first tour. The place looked wrong. There were boxes piled up on the porch that didn't belong to us, and a couple of strangers were carrying furniture inside like they'd just bought the place. My wife, Emily, was standing near the steps with our 2 kids clinging to her sides. Her eyes were red from crying. One of the men, wearing what looked like a cheap police vest, was blocking the porch. "Sir, you're trespassing on HOA property," he said in this robotic, almost rehearsed tone. "Please leave before you're arrested." I stared him down. "Which department are you with?" He didn't answer, just smirked like he was playing a role in some bad movie. "Doesn't matter. We've got orders." "Orders? On my land?" That's when I saw her, Karen Miller, HOA president, local tyrant, and apparently self-appointed queen of our community. She stepped out of her spotless white SUV like she was arriving at a press conference, clipboard in hand, sunglasses perched just right. "You abandoned the property," she said flatly, not even bothering with a hello. "Per HOA bylaws, we had the right to reclaim and resell it." I could feel my blood pressure rising. "Abandoned? I was deployed overseas, serving the country that lets you even have this HOA. Karen gave me a cold smirk. "Then maybe you should have paid your dues." That was the moment I knew something wasn't right. This wasn't about missed fees. This was about power, her power, and she was abusing it like she'd done to everyone else in the neighborhood. I clenched my fists, but I didn't move. I just watched as her officers, men who clearly weren't real cops, started taking pictures of my truck. My truck that was still registered under the U.S. Army Logistics Division. That's when it clicked. She had no idea what she just stepped into. "You just made the biggest mistake of your life," I whispered under my breath. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of engines outside. 3 trucks, this time, all marked HOA enforcement. They had bolt cutters, chains, and boxes labeled auction prep. They were stripping my property apart piece by piece. Emily begged me to call the police, but I already knew how that would go. The HOA had fake paperwork that looked real. Without proof, the real cops couldn't do anything. So instead, I stayed quiet, watching, recording. My military training kicked in. You don't charge blind, but you gather intel. You wait for the right moment. Karen strutted across the yard like a general on a parade ground, barking orders. "Remove that barn door. It's not HOA compliant." She said it like she owned the place. I pulled out my phone and started recording. "Restricted area?" I said loud enough for the camera to catch it. "Funny, I thought this was my ranch." She spun around, that fake smile flickering. "Put that away. You're violating HOA privacy policy." I laughed. "The Army doesn't answer to HOAs, Karen." Her face twitched. "You think anyone cares about your little soldier story? This land's already sold, and I just let her talk, every arrogant word digging her own grave." What she didn't know was that this ranch wasn't just private property. It was part of a federal veteran agricultural grant. That meant no sale, no transfer, and no reclamation could happen without clearance from the Department of Defense. Any attempt to do so? A federal crime. I didn't need to yell. I didn't need to fight. All I needed to do was make one call. That night, when the sun dipped behind the hills, I sat on the porch steps and pulled out my phone. I called an old contact, Sergeant Major Cole. "You're telling me they sold a military-registered ranch?" He asked, calm but dangerous. "Yep," I said. "And they've got fake cops enforcing it." There was a long pause. Then 3 words I'll never forget. "Don't touch them." The next morning, I heard it before I saw it. The low hum of engines. Not pickup trucks this time. Military convoys. Karen's white SUV pulled up just as the first Humvee stopped in front of the gate. She stormed out, barking orders like she still had authority. "What's going on here?" she snapped. One of the soldiers stepped forward, holding a thick document folder. "Ma'am, this property is under federal protection. You and your associates are trespassing on government land." Her fake cops froze on the spot. One tried to talk, but the soldier cut him off. Within minutes, they were all surrounded. Real military this time, not weekend rent-a-cops. I stood back, arms crossed, watching the color drain from Karen's face. She tried to argue, tried to wave that same clipboard like it still meant something. "You can't do this. I'm the HOA president." But no one cared. The soldiers didn't even flinch. One by one, her fake officers were disarmed, cuffed, and placed into the back of military vehicles. Turns out, none of them were real cops at all, just security guards on HOA payroll, pretending to be law enforcement. Neighbors started peeking out from behind their curtains, whispering as the truth came out. The entire HOA had been running a scam, seizing properties from deployed soldiers and flipping them for profit. Karen tried to run, but a federal investigator caught her before she made it 10 steps. "You forged government land documents," he told her. "That's a felony." Her face went pale. For the first time, she had nothing to say. When the dust finally settled, I walked back to my porch, my real porch, and picked up my old, mud-caked dog tags from the steps. The sun was setting again, glowing gold over my land. My land. Emily came up beside me, her hand slipping into mine. We didn't say anything. We didn't need to. I looked at one of the cameras still recording and said quietly, "I fought for this country. I'm not letting anyone take my land. I'm not even a fake HOA." That video went viral within hours. Karen's scam was exposed, the HOA was dissolved, and every veteran who'd lost their property because of her scheme got their land back. For the first time in months, the ranch was quiet again, peaceful, ours, and somewhere out there. I hope Karen Miller finally understood the one rule she could never rewrite. You don't mess with a soldier defending his home.